Toastmaster Jeff Rufenacht, our fourth speaker. Last minute, Jeff is filling in. Thank you, Jeff. His speech doesn't come from Pathways. Nonetheless, DTM Jeff Rufenacht is humbled to share his speech with you. Please welcome Jeff with his speech titled, Home Sweet Home. Please welcome Toastmaster Jeff Rufenacht.
I remember when the dad moved in back in '61. Okay, he wasn't a dad yet. He was single. He was a teacher at Edgewater High School. I'd been next door since '52, and I was happy to have him as my neighbor. Soon, he met the mom while she was doing her practice teaching at Edgewater. They married in June of '65, and he took a job at Orlando Vocational School, and she was one of the original staff members at UCF, back when it was FTU. She stopped working when she had son number 1 in January of '68. Toastmasters and guests, this is the story of neighbors that became like family to me. There were many occasions when the mom would be hanging up clothes in the backyard on the clothesline, and son number 1 would take off running for the lake. A new fence in the backyard took care of that. Fast forward to '73, she was pregnant with son number 2. The timing was right for us to deepen our relationship because they needed a new place to live, and the folks living with me were moving out. This family of 3, soon to be 4, moved in. Just like when she was next door, the mom would hang out the clothes to dry. It was always so relaxing to see these 3 lines of sheets and clothes blowing in the breeze coming off of Little Bear Lake. By then, the mom was so pregnant that son number 1 would complain that he couldn't sit in her lap anymore. And then son number 2 was born. We really enjoyed living together, and they loved the big backyard. Ping pong, badminton, frisbee, baseball, a swing set, monkey bars, a fort, a hammock. They had it all. And out front on the driveway, they'd make homemade ice cream and shuck corn from Zelda. After every workday, the dad would come home, and he and the sons would go down to the lake and swim. A Christmas staple in the front yard was the manger scene. For the first few years, Frosty was on the roof, and there were lights by the front door. But until the end, they always put up the manger scene. In July of '85, son number 1 left for college, and 6 years later, in '91, son number 2 followed, making the mom and dad empty nesters. And in summer of '94, the dad retired. It was nice having him around the house more, especially since I was a homebody myself. The years continued to roll by, and the mom and dad enjoyed time in the dock, eating lunches, reading library books, and enjoying the view, the breeze, and the good company. Even near the end, when the dad was so shaky that he needed a walker or a wheelchair to get around, he could, unassisted, walk barefoot down to the lake, supported by the earth that had been there for him for thousands of trips over the decades. The mom and dad's love for each other grew stronger, even as physically they began to slow down, like a wind-up toy winding down. In June of '15, they celebrated 50 years of marriage, and by then, the medical equipment was accumulated. A wheelchair here, a walker there. The dad got the bad news in November of '17. It's not pre-leukemia anymore, and you're too weak for chemo and radiation. Things spiraled quickly from there. By mid-January of '18, there was a hospice bed in our living room, and the dad was in it. He died on Friday. His last words were to the mom, "I love you." Just 2 weeks and 2 days later, the mom would be diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. 9 weeks and a day after the dad died, the mom joined him. Son number one started coming over for about 2 hours a day to go through his family's possessions. This lasted for about 9 months because apparently his parents didn't throw away anything. He learned a lot about his parents that he didn't know, and I'm relieved to say it's all good. But it was tedious. Sometimes he would stop, look heavenward and say, "Mom, Dad, really?" He would often cry in front of me and talk about the pain of going through all of this alone. When he was done, he called a friend who did estate sales. Yet still, he was so conflicted about what to do with me. Let's face it, we've been together since '73. I was like a member of the family at this point. And now that both his parents were gone and his brother was back in Tampa, I was all he had left. We went forward with the estate sale, vowing to decide what to do with me after that. After the estate sale, the sons spoke and agreed. Let's fix things up around here, then decide. Pressure washing made everything sparkle outside, and after many repairs, they brought in a cleaner who made everything shine like it hadn't in decades. And now, it really was decision time. I mean, it's not like I wasn't paid for it. The mortgage had been retired years ago. But the sons really wanted to honor their parents. And they considered themselves as stewards, not owners of me. I was not their house, I was their parents' house. They looked at renting me out, or even turning me into an Airbnb. But I could tell their hearts weren't in it. They just didn't want to let go of me. One day they were talking and they said, as painful as it is to even talk about it and think about selling, we've had our time. Let's pray that a young couple with kids buys it and gets to enjoy it as we have. On the day of the closing, in June of 19, son number one met the realtor in my kitchen. He asked the realtor if she had any idea who the buyers were. She made a call and found out that it was a young couple with kids. They really wanted me because they had friends that lived just 2 houses over and were looking forward to many good times, cooking out and socializing in the big backyard. A happy ending for the sons and a new beginning for me. I'll love this family just like I love the last two. But I'll never forget my 46 years with Rufenacht.